Hello, this is a video about battery farming chickens. Basically, I think they're really messed up. They're really, really messed up. And that sounds obvious, but like, why are we still doing it? Uh, like in the US, I just looked it up, and apparently 50% roughly are still, you know, battery farmed chickens. What the hell? You know? If you don't know what it is, it's basically a six-sided cage with like wire. The chickens have to stand on wire. They're incredibly confined, so they're basically just always touching each other. They can barely move, and we just go around and take their eggs. Their future babies. Just take their eggs every day and just sell them, eat them, and then just leave them in there for the rest of their lives. Unable to move, not really living, just probably in pain, squawking. Just, I mean, what? Why do I even have to explain why this is messed up? It's just so obviously wrong. It's just so obviously wrong, you know? Like, and it's popular in Vietnam where I am, as far as I can see. And it's like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't care if you're poor. I don't care if your country's poor. I don't care if this is traditional or this is the easiest way for you. Stop, alright? It's like there's a limit, you know? Find some other way of making money. That's what I think. That's just what I think. And yeah, like I said, people will say, well, you don't understand. Some countries are just less developed. No, I still think it's wrong. Um, Even in those countries, even if you're poor and this is one of the only ways you can make money, I don't care. I still think it's wrong. And you can say, well, they're just chickens. They're not really like us. It's like, no, I think that's wrong too, because they still feel pain. They have some level of intelligence, believe it or not. Look it up. Animals are often more intelligent than we realize. Uh, and we basically, we basically we have created hell on Earth. It's basically hell, right? That's basically. I mean, imagine if you were in a tiny cage, just like, and people were just taking your babies and just eating them, like, and you couldn't move for your whole life. That's basically what we're doing. And look, I understand, like, there's not a lot I can do about it, really. So I guess the purpose of this video is just a vague attempt to just normalize or denormalize or whatever, battery farming, or even enrichment cages as we have in the UK, which is supposed to be better. I think if you see some chicken being like in a tiny cage, or yeah, I think you should just give the if you see the owner, I think you should just do that. Just as you're walking past, just and then just go about your day. Because I think if some people are okay with doing this and they don't really care about chickens, okay. But then I think they should be slightly publicly shamed for it, if that's what it comes down to. So yeah, believe it or not, I'm not. I don't normally get all like riled up about social issues. I'm actually quite sort of laid back. There's a lot of things I don't really care about, but this just seems obviously wrong. So I think we should all buy free-range eggs. Okay, I would honestly, I wouldn't be that surprised if like, in the future, we look back on how we treated animals in the past, and we're like, wow, that was messed up. The same way we look back on slavery and we're like, what? Or the Holocaust, it's just weird how we're all just like, you know, not okay with it, but it's weird how we just let it happen. Like, well, people need to make money. It's like, shut up. It's just not okay. It's like if I was like, well, I'm poor, so I'm just gonna rob my grandma, and take all her jewelry and kill her. I'm poor though, and it's like that shouldn't even be an option. Like, what are you talking about? um, that's just what I think. It would just, I don't know, just some more like analogies or whatever, um, persuasive analogies. A 1-year-old human is pretty stupid, right? But it still feels pain. Would you profit off of its pain? Would you slap a 1-year-old in the face because you're like, it's pretty dumb. It's not really sophisticated. It doesn't really care, so it's okay to slap 1-year-olds. Would you, um, your cat, right? Would you use your cat for its fur and just keep it in a little cage so it couldn't move, and just every day you just come around and just shave its fur off and use it for like whatever you're using it for, and then I don't know, eat it. Like, would you do that? Because cats, I guess they're not like humans, really, are they? So no, you wouldn't do that. Would you do that with a dog? No. Well, some people do. Um, So yeah, I just yeah. It's like animals are smarter than we give them credit for, but let's even if they weren't, right? Even if humans were by far the most sophisticated species and the most intelligent, and so we can do whatever we want because we won the evolutionary race. It's like, okay, maybe we are smarter, but don't you think that gives us some responsibility? Because we don't need to battery farm chickens. We're just doing it for money, to save money, greed. And yeah, uh, maybe if we spread out the resources a little more amongst ourselves, we wouldn't have to go to such crazy methods. And I don't think we should go to these methods regardless, because, like I say, I think they're just wrong. It's like if you're the older brother in a family and your younger brother's like a bit stupid, you're not like, oh, he's stupid and I'm older than him and better than him, so that gives me the right to abuse him. It's like, well, actually some people do that as well, so. But, if you're, like, if you consider yourself to be somewhat of a good person, you wouldn't do that.